I'd like to call the Butte-Silver Bowl Council of Commissioners regular meeting for Wednesday, March 6, 2024 to order. Clerk, could we please have roll call?
11 present, 1 absent.
11 present, 1 absent. Please note that Commissioner Anderson is absent from today's meeting. Commissioner Sorge, could you lead us in the prayer and the pledge?
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive, fellow commissioners. Almighty God, we implore you, look upon us and guide us this night as we make decisions which will greatly affect our community of Butte-Silver Bow. Direct our thoughts, words, and deeds so that we please you and best serve our fellow citizens. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, we'll move to the approval of the minutes for the February 21st, 2024 regular meeting. Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. At this time, I move to approve the minutes from the February 21st, 2024 regular meeting.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the February 21st, 2024 meeting. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? Would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
11 yeas, 0 nay.
11 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. Next, we don't have any items not addressed on tonight's agenda, so I will move on to the Chief Executive's report. Last night, we had a EPA community meeting to introduce the 2 new project managers on the BIPSU operable unit. Emma Rott and Molly Roby will be the new project managers, and Carolina Ballou out of the state of Montana, she will be the administrator. It was more of an informal introduction to talk about, you know, the process moving forward and talk to the public, and just didn't go into a lot of specifics. We know that the screening levels have been changed to 200, and knowing that we're a multi-pathway community, we believe that the action levels should reflect what the screening levels are. And so we're anxious to find out what that's going to be moving forward for Butte-Silver Bow. We stood up and we're pretty, receptive. We're cautiously optimistic of the EPA and moving forward. I had a meeting with them to just kind of talk through and introduce ourselves to them. They are committed to having office hours in Butte. We offered up the opportunity to have office space down at the National Guard Armory so that they could operate out of there when they have their office hours. I think it's a great move for both our Department of Reclamation and with the EPA to share that space and give the public accessibility to both of those agencies to answer questions when needed. We also are working with EPA to make sure that all of the documents and all the questions and things that really surround the Butte priority soils are housed on bipsu.com. So we made that pretty clear. And so, as I said, EPA, they've committed more resources. That's a good thing for our community. The new PMs did express that they've got a lot to learn. But I think that it's a new day, and so we're optimistic about what the future is going to hold as we move forward with the cleanup around Butte priority soils. Other things that I kind of want to talk about is, you know, it seems that sometimes as we work in government, we talk about things that it seems like there's a victim and a villain mentality that comes out of some people when they think about local government, and I just want to kind of address that. Somebody wants an emergency call here. Local government is closest to the people. I don't know one person that's sitting up here that doesn't take that responsibility seriously, and there isn't one of us up here that ran for office that was thinking, well, how can I screw things up, or that I'm not going to do the best for the community. And, you know, many of the times that there's going to be disagreements between us all up here, but I know that everybody's committed to try to do the best thing for the community, and that we need to understand that. The community needs to understand that. So when we may have some heated discussions, we might have some hard feelings, but in the end, every one of us is up here trying to do the same thing. Now, when we talk about that, take that a step further, and the employees of Butte-Silver Bow, our employees, especially those in leadership, are the same as our elected officials. They, just like all of us, they live here, they work here, they send their kids to the schools here, and they work hard for our community as well and make extremely hard decisions. They take an incredible amount of criticism, and just like all of us, they're trying to do the right thing for our community. And I just want us to remember that, why we're all here and why all of our employees are here, because that there is, you know, we had a little bit of a leadership training, and it brought some things to light that, you know, we're all Butte-Silver Bow. Every one of us are part of the government here, and we're all here to move things forward and do the right things for our community. And so I just wanted to kind of address that and remind ourselves that we're all here for the right reasons. You know, as I said, some of the victim mentality out there is, you know, things are hidden behind the curtain, or we're having secret meetings and all the other things that are out there. It's trying to say that the people are not doing the right thing for the community, and that I struggle with that as those statements are made. Every one of us, as part of the Butte-Silver Bow government, we need to support and challenge each other, and move forward when we need to move forward. And I just, as I said, I want to thank everybody that's up here, because I know these are hard jobs, and I want to thank all of our Butte-Silver Bow employees as well. So with that, we're going to move forward. I know we might have a little bit of some discussion today, and so we'll move on to public comment on any item on tonight's agenda. If you'd like to come forward, state your name, address, and the item that you would like to speak about. Welcome.
There we go. Shanna Adams, 8102 US Highway 10. I just wanted to comment on the public art ordinance that's on the agenda for tonight. I was part of the Uptown Butte Master Plan, and that was one of our recommendations in the plan. We worked really hard on that, and I'm just really excited to see it on the agenda tonight. It's going to be something that's really wonderful for our community. I think even in the recent couple of years, we've seen a lot more public art in Butte, and it just helps enrich everybody's experience, and just adds to the uniqueness of the place. I believe once that's passed, there'll be a call for committee members to serve on the public art committee. So if you know somebody who you think would be interested in doing that, I would just encourage you to reach out to them. And I just wanted to show my support. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Adams. Welcome.
Hi, I'm JJ Adams. Also live at 8102 Highway 10. And same thing, just super excited about the Public Art Committee, and the many public art projects that have been going up around town. It just seems like a place that's more loved and homely and comfortable, and you know, it's just a really good demonstration of beautiful, you know, when you are making your community beautiful, that you care about it, and I think that that message comes through, and there's just really been some really great work already done, just with the buzz that started around this. So just wanted to say that. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Is there any other public comment? Mr. McKee.
Hey there, John McKee, 341 Anaconda Road. I want to share that right there. I actually have a sculpture that's up on the Broadway garage that I put up just this year. And I think Butte could use a lot more art, and I'm proud to be one of the artists that's part of that. So yes, and I think the work that Shanna's done is really great. I would also like to do a quick comment on 2024-71, the lease. We're really grateful for the last 6 weeks of discussion that we've had with you guys. After last week's council meeting, the county attorney received an email from Commissioner Fortune and others regarding their concerns regarding the lease. Headframe's attorney and county attorney worked together on Monday to understand those concerns, and Headframe responded to each item individually by the end of the day on Monday. There's some more that came up on the 5th, and we responded to those as well. In summary, since the process began, we have now changed 3 items for the proposed Second Amendment lease per the request of the council. These all came from you guys, and we've changed all of them in your favor. We changed the wording of the lien section to make sure that we take care of any concerns that Headframe could potentially, or its lenders could potentially place a lien against the property. That's been struck. We've added a section requiring a lease rate discussion every 5 years. And we've defined the Kelly complex due to Mitzi's really cool concern last week to just include the property that you guys actually own, not property you don't own. So we've added that in there. And I guess we just want to say thanks. I mean, this is how the sausage is made, and we've been really grateful to be a part of it with you guys for the last couple of weeks, and we hope that we've addressed your concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McKee. Welcome.
Good evening. Kathy Tutty, 929 Hornet Street, Butte. I'm here tonight as the town attorney of Walkerville on behalf of John Reese, the mayor of Walkerville, and Commissioner Powers, who's with us tonight. And I want to address ordinances, Resolution 2024-07, for the legal description of the town of Walkerville. As some of you may know, or you might have seen on the news tonight, there was some dispute about where the southern boundary of Walkerville was. We all knew where it was. Everybody seemed to know where it was, except the state library thought it was somewhere else. And when we started to get everything together, we found that there were 4 or 5 different places, and this house on Bennett was in, but that house on Bennett was out. Bennett was out completely. It went through the middle of La Platte. So with the good work of the clerk and recorder's office, we got a surveyor to do the work and identify the southern boundary of Walkerville. So that resolution that you'll have before you to refer to judiciary will actually give us a description of exactly where the town of Walkerville is. And I want to thank Linda and her office for digging up the maps and making sure that we could get a description so that the voters on Bennett Street can vote in the next election for the town of Walkerville. And then I also would like to congratulate the council, hopefully the council, on their appointment of Lisa Carey as the emergency manager. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Tutty. Is there any other public comment on tonight's agenda? Seeing none, we'll move forward to Section 1, Communications A 1 through 4, and B, let me count here, 1 through 31. Are there any friendly amendments and or segregations? Commissioner Shea.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I would like to segregate item 5 out of the Committee of the Whole agenda, communication number 2024-71.
That's, gotta find it in here. I got it. Page 6. Let's see. Never mind. I got it. Okay. Got it. Thank you. Are there any other friendly amendments and or segregations? Commissioner Sorich.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. Out of Section 5 of the Committee Whole Report, Ordinance Resolution for Final Reading, number 2, Resolution number 2024-1.
That's item number 2, 2024-1.
Yep.
And Commissioner Frederickson.
No, I just have a question on that segregation. Isn't that up for final reading in the, not out of the committee of the whole? Right.
Out of final reading, yes.
But I don't, county attorney,
Can we
I don't think,
segregate
does
that?
it need to be segregated? No,
Okay.
because
Okay.
we'll have discussion on it, right?
Would you like to? Okay.
Is that good? Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner Frederickson. Any other friendly amendments and or segregations? Seeing none, Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move to approve Section 2 of the consent agenda A 1 through 4 and B 1 through 31, with the exception of 5 out of the Committee of the Whole Communication 2024-71.
We have a motion and a second to approve tonight's consent agenda. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
11 yea, 0 nay.
11 yeas, 0 nay. 11 yeas, 0 nay. Motion passes. Moving to Section 2, Communications out of the Committee of the Whole. Item number 3, Communication number 2024-71. J.P. Gallagher, Chief Executive, requesting Council of Commissioners authorization to have Chief Executive Gallagher sign the second amended lease. The lease outlines the expanded premise of the Kelly Warehouse commercial building and increase to the lease fee structure. Commissioner Shea.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. As we all know and are aware of and witnessed last week, there was a lot of discussion on this. I think John made a really good analogy of this is how the sausage is made and the back and forth happens. So I am satisfied with the red lines that were emailed out to us today. There were some good questions asked by Commissioner Fortune and others that seem to have been resolved, at least to my liking. So at this time, I would make a motion to approve the second amended agreement and lease as published in the Committee of the Whole with the following amendments to the agreement. And those are an addition at the end of paragraph 2, which reads Kelly Complex means all of the city county's right, title, and interest in and to all of the property described in that certain recorded quitclaim deed from ARCO Environmental Remediation LLC to the City and County of Butte-Silver Bow, recorded in the land records of the City County of Butte-Silver Bow, Montana's Clerk and Recorder's Office at Roll 33, Card 214, document number 612210, and striking the last sentence in paragraph 17, excuse me, which read, however, City County will be responsible for ordinary and routine maintenance of exterior common areas, parking lot, and accesses. That sentence has been struck. So that's my motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve communication number 2024-71. Is there anything on the question? Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. Thank you, Commissioner Shea. I don't know if anyone knows, but I met with County Attorney Joyce and Chief Executive Gallagher on Tuesday morning, or Tuesday at noon. We had a pretty good discussion on what's going on here, and although many feel, and I also feel, this lease in 2016 may have not been the best written lease, it is the lease we have before us. The revisions in it are revisions that are acceptable by the council. There are a few things that I pointed out, and I did have some pretty good coaching in this. It wasn't all done by me. I had a retired attorney friend of mine that looked through it pretty good, and I brought up the suggestions to Eileen and JP, and they kind of explained to me how it worked from our side. So I do agree that we probably got to prove this to get this behind us, but I did have one request, and I guess I don't want to make it here on the floor, but I'm going to, and the request would be that John McKee has been good to his employees. He's been good to the county. He's been good to everyone involved. By the sounds of things that I hear, I have no problem with him. I go the head frame spirits, but with the kindness of his heart, being we're going to be going now to a contract that will no longer be reviewed now in 2006, from 21 to 2006 would be 5 years. Now by approving the contract tonight, we'll be going from 2024 to 2029. So in other words, he's getting we're going into another 5-year term instead of just 2 years left in the last term. So, if you took a lot of the information that goes about inflation and how things going, we reviewed all this, and I had a pretty good financial guy look at this. So I guess out of my opinion, maybe a consideration for John McKee and his attorney to maybe look at something like, I agree with everything in here, but I do think we could use a little more money, and This is just consideration that John, his attorney, JP, and Eileen can look at. But I think if we could get him up from $5,800 a month to about $7,500 a month, it'd be a little easier for swallow for me and many of us sitting at this table and the taxpayers of Butte-Silver both. So that's consideration I'd like to offer, and hopefully it can be worked out in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Fisher. Commissioner Fortune.
Chief Executive, I'd echo that. I think it was a bad lease in 2016. I still think it's a bad lease, but we're in a tough spot, and I'd feel a lot more comfortable if we agreed to higher rates. I wish there was more we could do, but it'd give me a better feeling if there was an increase in the rent. No matter, there hasn't been an increase in 2016, and the only thing that's increased is the square footage.
Thank you, Commissioner Fortune. Any other comments? Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Reardon.
Thank you, Mr. Gallagher. I'd just like to throw something in here too, is the fact in that basically why this warehousing extra space was allocated for was the installation of this, I guess, waste system that we have been talking for quite a while. And I just like an idea that, you know, okay, we're going to play ball here. You basically have to be in compliance with this according to the part of the lease. I understand it's going to take, but I think we need to have an idea about how long this is going to take. I mean, it isn't in writing. I know Director Neary has been working really hard on this, and I think that this is one thing that I think we really need an answer on, because this is affecting our whole disposal system with Metro Sewer. So I would like to see some enlightenment on that, where we're at. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Reardon. And I think I can speak to a couple things that were just asked, and then I'll go to Commissioner O'Neill. We did take in consideration, because Commissioner Fisher did request that the rate be moved up to 7,500. We did go back and forth with Mr. McKee's attorney, and it was not acceptable on that. That was not, as we discussed this back and forth, and we made the adjustments that we thought that were asked. The 75 was not agreed to, so that is not what's in front of you today. I'm not saying that that's something that cannot happen. And then on the other side of things with the pre-treatment there'll be a compliance schedule, Commissioner Reardon, that they'll be held to have that done. And so Eric Gonder will be working with Mr. McKee on that compliance schedule, and that's one of the things I think that it gives us an opportunity. It gives Mr. McKee the operation of the area that he needed to put the pre-treatment in that was somewhat an obstacle. And so we, as the leaser, can hold them to as we move forward, and we'll hold them to that compliance schedule. So Commissioner O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. So my understanding, the last lease we had was there was no changes in 5 years, right? It was the lease that started prior, just went on. There was never, could you answer that question for me? There was never a 5-year change in that, in the original lease, not this one, the original lease.
Commissioner O'Neill, so the original lease did not have a fee schedule that had a change to it. What it is was every 5 years, it was an automatic renewal for up to 75 years, unless the leasee wanted to terminate, and then they would have to give us notice on that. So the lease originally, which many of us were not here at that time, was set up to allow Mr. McKee to begin operations up there, and originally to make improvements to the building so that the building was leasable. And so that's what was built in that lease. Now, County Attorney Joyce probably can speak a little bit more specifically to the original lease, as she was here at that time.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. So that's what I'm going with, is now we at least have that language in there. So we're in 5 years from now, we can look at an increase on what it's at. Am I correct on that, right? We can, in 5 years, we can jack up the rate if need be.
Commissioner O'Neill, that would be a meet and confer that we would do that. So, I mean, it would be, we would meet together, that it would be, as it reads in the lease that we have in there, that a fictional, against another fictional leasee would have to pay for that same. We would meet and confer and talk about the rates that go on there, and then it would come forward to the council for approval at that time. Follow-up, Commissioner O'Neill.
Thank you. So if during that time in the 5 years, if we don't agree, then we don't agree. They have to move out, right? I'm not saying that, but I'm not saying that's the plan. We don't want that. So then nothing changed then from the last one. That's where I'm going with this. So there's this increase now, so it could never increase again, correct?
Commissioner O'Neill, I think that I don't think that's totally the rationale behind this. It's a meet and confer to be able to justify for Mr. McKee to say his justification, our justification, and I think that we have some leverage there at that time. But I will let County Attorney Joyce speak to the legality of that.
Mr. Chief Executive, Commissioner O'Neill, that is what the Chief Executive just indicated is accurate. That was the new language that was discussed, I think, last week, or that you were provided in the red line under paragraph 3, which basically, rather than trying to determine how much of a rate increase you might think is appropriate and coming up with a specific percentage or anything, what the agreement is that you would meet in good faith every 5 years to consider whether the rate should increase. And as the Chief Executive indicated, that would allow each party at that time to present the evidence that they have as to what they think the fair market value of the rates should be. And that is, left for that negotiation, which a number of things could obviously come into play. But as the Chief Executive indicated, Mr. McKee, on behalf of Headframes, would be able to make arguments about what he thinks the fair rate is, and the city county would be able to do that also. And it is obviously more than you have right now under the 2021 lease, which took the place of the 2016 lease. And at least it allows each party to have that negotiation occur.
Thanks. Commissioner Fortune.
Chief Executive, just on that, so both parties have to agree for there to be a rate increase?
Commissioner Fortune, County Attorney Joyce.
Mr. Chief Executive, Commissioner Fortune, yes, just as both parties have to agree to any amendments to this lease agreement.
Follow-up, Commissioner Fortune.
So it's pretty evident that would never happen. I mean, when you have that good of a lease rate, why would you ever agree to increase it? We just asked tonight and we're told that wasn't going to happen. So I think we can see the writing on the walls of what's going to happen every 5 years, but just pointing that out.
Okay, Commissioner Callahan.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. I think John could probably answer this, but I think the ultimate goal here is they want to purchase the building. We're putting a lot of effort into a lease in every 5 years and every 5 years. Their goal is to purchase the building, and we won't be going through this every 5 years. And John can speak to that if he feels, please.
Thank you, Commissioner Callahan. So go to Commissioner Fortune, then Commissioner O'Neill.
We were already told that the building was going to be purchased and it never happened. And again, why would anybody purchase a building when they have a lease for 75 years? And I mean, come on.
Commissioner Fortune, I can answer that. We have not made the building available for purchase. We didn't think that it was appropriate within this lease to put that language within the lease on this. There, I believe, can be discussion about that about what the fair market value is, and if Headframe Spirits is wanting to do that, but that's a negotiation outside of this lease. Commissioner Fortune, follow up.
I'm almost certain that we were told that they were gonna purchase the building when we bought the Army Reserve building, so maybe just to clarify that. But
Yeah.
I think every commissioner on here was under the impression that the building was already trying to be purchased.
Commissioner Fortune, that has been the desire of Headframes throughout this, is that they would have the opportunity to purchase the building, and they've made that clear. And that was, as I brought it forward when we talked about the National Guard Armory, that once we're able to do that, which, as I said, that would be outside of this lease, and that purchase could be used to help offset the costs that we use when we purchase the National Guard Armory. So that was correct at that time. So I think County Attorney Joyce wants to chime in for a second, and then Commissioner O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. Commissioner Fortune, and that was a discussion that Headframes wanted to have an option to purchase in this lease that was resisted because, from my view, we're currently in the process of streamlining our ordinance on how we sell property, and it was my recommendation that that should be a separate discussion, because if you're going to allow this building to be sold, that should be a separate item on an agenda that the public gets to have a discussion about, rather than sticking it in a lease agreement. And that was the information that I had a discussion with Mr. McKee's attorney about. And so therefore, if there is a request to purchase this building by Mr. McKee, it can be on a separate agenda and have an opportunity for members of the public to realize that that's the request being made, and allow them to provide input if they so desire.
Thank you, County Attorney Joyce. Commissioner O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. So with that being said, in the purchase, this isn't about whether they're going to purchase it. I hope you do purchase it. I hope you make billions of dollars. That's what I pray for you. But this has nothing to do with that. We're talking about the lease, right? So we're here to protect what's good for the county, right? That's what we're doing. Not, again, it has nothing to do with them purchasing the building whatsoever. It's the lease.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Neill. Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. The reason I request the increase is because we're taking 2 years off of a 5-year contract right now and adding 5 years. So actually, if numbers don't lie and liars don't number, it's a 7-year, because we're eliminating 2. We're supposed to review and revise this in 2026. Well, by approving this tonight, which I'm for, is we won't be reviewing and redoing this until 2029. So inflation, which, we went through this the other day, JP and Eileen and I, inflation rates, is 23, 24% right now, and amortization charge shows different. So the reason I'm requesting that maybe we get a little more rent, or negotiate somewhere between 58 and 75, which I think 7,500 is fair, that's why I'm requesting this. And I guess at this time, I would like to call on John McKee to come up and respond to my request. Thank you.
Mr. McKee, if you'd like to come forward. I will say this, just to that point. The language of review and revise is added to this amended lease, which would put it at that 5 years from this point. So it doesn't go back, because it was never in the lease language prior to that. This is revised language in the second amended lease language. Okay. County Attorney Joyce, am I correct in that?
Mr. Chief Executive, Commissioner Fisher, I think what I believe Commissioner Fisher's indicating is that if this amended lease isn't signed, and the last one was signed in 2021, that the 5-year period would be 2026, and now the 5-year period will be 2029, which is accurate, but also, you didn't receive between 2021 and 2024 this additional rent that is now being agreed to be paid in the next term of the lease.
Thank you, County Attorney Joyce. Sorry about that, Mr. McKee. I'll let you respond. I think Commissioner Fisher
No,
was
that's
asking a
great.
question about what your...
Please, Chief Executive Gallagher and Commissioner Fisher. Maybe here's an easier answer, and it probably helps with Commissioner O'Neill's question as well. The rates we're paying you right now, based upon the appraisal that that Mike McLeod did for you guys, this concern that this lease goes on forever, well, if it does go on for more than 10 years, I'm going to pay you more in lease than the building's worth right now. So after that, you're going to be making money for the next 75 years on a building that's already been paid out. So I guess to the point of should I pay you more now? I think one of the things we talked about, and then County Attorney Eileen Joyce spoke to a moment ago, we actually brought a case. We said, great, let's just turn it into a lease to own. Let's just go ahead and make the payments now against the current appraised price, and we'll pay you out, and we'll be done. And she's right, that was out of the topic of the lease, which is not what we're here talking about. But just to your point, give me 10 years, I'm going to pay you more than the building's worth right now. So I guess I don't want to pay you more right now, only because, I want to buy this building before this calendar year is out. This is just about getting this lease done right now so I can put in the wastewater treatment system, and so I have enough room for barrels, because they're starting to turn sideways going down halls right now. So, but I guess my answer is no, I don't want to give you more money, but I am advocating for you and the taxpayers of Butte-Silver Bow that if we just do this and for some reason I can't buy it in this calendar year and we can't come to an agreement on a price in this calendar year, in 10 years I'm going to give you more money than it's worth anyway. And then for the next 60 years, I'm just going to be giving you money. So maybe that's an okay answer. I hope so. And I'm happy to stand here and answer more if that's okay.
Thank you, Mr. McKee. Follow-up, Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, John. I hope you realize I'm just voicing, because this is part of my duty to the people. And
Yes,
I want you to succeed, I really do.
Thank you.
So the thing is, when there's no provisions in the assignment, you have the possibility where you could assign this to anyone within the next year or two, say like to Jack Daniels or to Pendleton Whiskey. You could assign that to them and actually make a real good profit if you so desired. But I know your heart's in this thing yourself, but the way the provisions are written, there are no provisions in the assignment. So, I don't look for an answer from this, but just so, I'm sure you know you're a smart man, that this is a possibility, so
That's
thank
an
you.
interesting thought. I will say that the contract that I am stood up to build the whiskey distillery that I have right now and to make the whiskey I have for has already made sure that cannot happen. So not only to protect against Jack Daniels or Jim Beam showing up, but so too the client really digs Butte. They've been here to the Folk Fest twice. They eat at Casa Grande's every time they come here. They frickin' love Lisa. Their commitment is to community of Butte, not to someone else to buy them out. So I can't speak to, like, can I answer all the questions for you because that's contract, but the contract says, no, I can't do that. So I do have your back already.
Thank you, Mr. McKee. Follow-up, Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chief Executive. Thank you, John.
Welcome.
I'm going to be voting to approve this and wish you the best in the future. I will state that I don't think it was a real well-written lease in 2016 as far as the county goes, but your professionalism and what you got done in the lease is kudos to you. So
Thank you. You have the gratitude of myself and my staff.
thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Fisher. So we have a motion and a second. Oh, Commissioner Reardon.
I just want to chime in. Thank you, by the way.
Yes.
A little bit here too. I think that with you standing right there right now, and the words spoken in 5 minutes, we could have had this thing handled probably a long time ago. I think that basically we were just looking for a commitment where we're at and where you're going. That's the questions that we have. Well, where is this going and all that? And I understand that you got, some issues up there and some things going on and all that. And the guy just needs some time to get organized and get going and all that stuff. But like I said, we're with this short comment period here and all that right now, I mean, you know, I throw my full support behind it right now to get you going again and to where you're headed and keep progressing. And that's what we're all about. So thank you for that. Appreciate it. And
Thank you, Commissioner Reardon.
I would like to call for a vote too. Go ahead.
Okay. I don't know if we need to. We probably can.
Okay, all right.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Is there anything else on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
9 yea, 2 nay.
9 yea, 2 nay, motion passes. Motion passes. Well, congratulations. All right, so moving on, we will go on to section, got too many pages today. Section 2, communications to be read and acted upon. We have one, communication number 2024-121. J.P. Gallagher, Chief Executive, requesting Council of Commissioners concurrence for the appointment of Lisa Carey, 116 Cedar Lake Court, Butte, Montana, as Emergency Services Manager for Butte-Silver. Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move to concur for the appointment of Lisa Carey as Emergency Services Manager of Butte-Silver.
We have a motion and a second. Is there anything on the question? Commissioner Reardon.
Thank you, Gallagher. I would just like to comment on this hiring process. The hiring of Lisa, I think it's one of the better hires that we've had. Basically, with her experiencing in this position and all that, and every time I stop down by there, I mean, she's really, really dedicated, covers and does a lot more than she should, and she has a great personality. So I want to thank you. I think it's a good look. It brings a good look down there. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Reardon. I'd like to speak to this just a little bit before we take action. Lisa has been a part of the emergency management service underneath Dan Dennehy and then Jim Merrifield, and she's done, for one, she was the most qualified, the best person for this job. It was hands down evident that we had the right person already down there. She had been working as the acting manager for emergency services, and she's done everything that she needed to do to prepare herself for this role. And so with that, I'd invite Lisa up here. We're going to take a motion, and then I would like to introduce you. So we have a motion and a second. Is there anything else on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to, Commissioner Frederickson, and would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
11 yea, 0 nay.
11 yeas, 0 nay. 11 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. So Lisa,
Thank you.
Mic is yours.
Thank you, everyone.
so Lisa, before you walk away, as I said, she was the right person. She dedicated her time. She puts the extra effort in. She's gone through the certification courses. And like Commissioner Reardon said, she is highly accessible and is there for everybody in the community. So we wish you nothing but success, and thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, moving on to Section 3, ordinances and resolutions introduced to judiciary. We have 2 of them. Moving on to Section 4, ordinances and resolutions for second reading. We have one, Council Bill number, or we have more than one. We have 2 of them. Council Bill number 2024-03. Clerk, please read the caption.
A ordinance amending chapters 2.36, 3.12, and 3.28 of the Butte-Silver Municipal Code B-SBMC entitled Park and Recreation Board Contract Purchases and Sales of the City County Property. Respectfully, specifically amending section 2.36.065, repealing section 3.12050, and renumbering section 3.12.060 as 3.12.050, and amending sections 3.28010 and 3.28020, repealing section 3.28.030, 3.28.040, 3.28.050, 3.28060, and 3.28070, 3.28080, and 3.28.090, and 3.28100, and renumbering section 3.28.110 as section 3.28030, and 3.28.20 as section 3.28.040, and renumbering 3.28.130 as section 3.28.050, and providing for an effective date herein.
Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move to place resolution number 2024-03 on second reading and passed, having been deemed fully read at length.
We have a motion and a second to place, gosh, I gotta go back a page. Council Bill number 2024-03, ordinance number 2024-03 on second reading. Is there anything on the question? Commissioner, please vote. And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
11 yea, 0 nay.
11
Zero nay.
11 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving to section 5, ordinances and resolutions for final reading. We have two tonight. First one is Council Bill number 2024-02 and ordinance number 2024-02. Clerk, please read the caption.
A ordinance creating chapter 12.20 of the City County of Butte-Silver Municipal Code entitled Public Art, establishing a public art program to include works of art within certain city county projects, setting procedures to commission and select public art, providing a funding source for ongoing maintenance of public art, and prescribing a produce to deaccession public art, and providing for an effective date herein.
Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move to place Council Bill number 2024-02, ordinance number 2024-02 on final reading and passed, having been deemed fully read at length.
We have a motion and a second placing Council Bill number 2024-02 and ordinance number 2024-02 on final reading. Is there anything on the question? Commissioner Reardon.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. I was reading this for a while, and then I believe Mrs. Burns had approached the committee, and I kind of was doing one thing and doing the other. I wasn't on this committee, and I just got a couple questions. Number one is, I believe that she said funding was going to be hard to come by. I was wondering if you'd just come up and give us an overall deal.
Commissioner Reardon, Director Burns.
Thank you, Chief Executive, Commissioner Reardon, and members of council. I'm Karen Burns, Director of Community Development. So the ordinance establishes the structure to appoint a public art committee that would be appointed, recommended by the Chief Executive and appointed by this body to give some structure to how we look at establishing public art in public rights of way and other public places, and then a structure to ensure that we have a way to deaccession that when it needs to be taken down, if it does, and then also a process to possibly look at maintenance of that artwork once we do have it up. We did not identify a traditional funding source from, a percent of a public project or a percent of a budget, but we wanted to be able to establish that some way. into the future. We don't know exactly how that will happen yet, but we do know that there could be grant funds that we can go after for public art. It really just gives us the framework to get this off the ground and move it forward. And so we're really excited about the possibilities that this opens for us.
Follow-up, Commissioner Reardon.
Obviously, Karen, you know me enough and all that. I've been getting some calls from the historical deal and some other people and all that. And I'll just shoot this at you and all that. You know, their main deal basically is a representative on the committee, and I'm sure that'll happen, no problem. And then the biggest comments I got in the phone calls was the fact that, and I'm sure you've already thought of this, is some local artists will be on this committee and all that. I mean, it's coming along good. It looks good. It's not you know what I'm saying? I just think that we needed to find out what's going on for the fellow commissioners and myself, and I appreciate your effort. I think it's going to be something that'll really help Uptown Butte. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Reardon.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive, Commissioner. And I just want to say that this, the committee would be open to anyone who's interested in serving, and we would definitely encourage our local artists to want to serve on that commission, because that's, their passion, and we want people that are passionate about that to serve our community. And it is for public art anywhere in Butte-Silver Bow, not just Uptown Butte. So, thank you.
Thank you, Director Burns. We have a motion and a second. Is there anything else on the question? Could commissioners please? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
11 yea, 0 nay.
11 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to resolution number 2024-01. Clerk, please read the caption.
A resolution calling for an election on the question of conducting a local government review and establishing a study commission for the city and county of Butte-Silver Bow, state of Montana, providing for such election to be held on the date of the primary election in 2024, and providing for the number of positions on the study commission, and providing for an effective date herein.
Commissioner Frederickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move to place resolution number 2024-01 on final reading and passed, having been deemed fully read at length.
We have a motion and a second. Is there anything on the question? Commissioner Sorge.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I'm all in favor of this, and I know I'm preaching to the choir, but I just want to really emphasize how important this is to the general public, how important it is. Our charter was, we have a very unique government of a city-county government. Our charter was made in 1977. It needs to be tweaked. It needs to be changed a little bit. And I think all of us up here see it. So I guess what I'm kind of challenging, we were told that there can't be any local tax dollars used for the promoting or the marketing of the passage of this. So I guess I'm just kind of challenging anytime we can get a chance just to tell people how important it is, and it's really for the people, and it's going to be, it's how great of a thing it could be and what it really is. So that's all I wanted to say, but I'm all for it.
Thank you, Commissioner Sorge, and I wanted to chime in on that. I want to thank the commissioners for really looking at this closely and setting up a committee. I think it is important for the taxpayers to be able to look at local government. I'm in full support of this as well. But I appreciate the effort that the council put into this to really think about how this can move forward and be successful for the taxpayers of Butte. So thank you for doing that to all the commissioners up here. So with that, any other comments? Could commissioners please vote? This is final reading for resolution number 2024-01. And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
11 yea, 0 nay.
11 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. And moving on to calendar and other meeting events, please note all the dates and times of the meetings. And next, we'll move on to any public comment on any matter not on the agenda tonight. If you have anything that you'd like to speak to us about, please come forward, state your name, address, and what you'd like to speak to us about. Are we good? I see Ms. Tuddy up there wondering if she should come up and speak.
council didn't act on the Walkerville boundary, which was immediately prior to the section 3-28
Ms. Tuddy, yeah, so I know this isn't on, I'm not on the agenda, but I will let County Attorney Joyce, I think it's in judiciary, is that correct?
Mr. Fisher, I think it was referred to the it was just introduced tonight, and it's referred to the judiciary for next week.
Yep.
Perfect. I just want to make sure that it
Yep.
didn't
Nope, it
slide
didn't.
away.
Nope. Thank you, Ms. Tuddy. Is there any other public comment, any item not on the agenda tonight? Seeing none, I will take a motion, or is there any comment? Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. I'd just like to comment on the green head frame. I think it's on the Trevona over here. I'm not sure what mine is, like right off Iron Street. It's all lit in green, and I'll tell you, it stands out neat, and everybody should take a look of it before, I don't know how long it'll be up, but it caught my attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Fisher. That is the project of lighting our head frames, which is a great thing, and funded by the Town Pump Foundation to do that, and we're looking forward to lighting up more, and it does look fantastic. I also need to say tonight, good luck to the Butte Central Maroons and the Butte High Bulldogs tomorrow as they go forward for their quest for a state championship for both of those programs. So good luck to both of the boys' teams. And with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by aye.